All right, so you want to dive deep into this Illinois-Purdue matchup. Specifically, you're wondering if betting on Illinois to win outright against Purdue on Friday is a smart move.
Sounds like a plan.
Perfect. So we've got a couple of articles breaking down this Big Ten battle, and get this, they don't completely agree on who's going to come out on top. Always fun when that happens.
Keeps things interesting, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But before we get into those differing predictions, one thing really stood out to me right away. Illinois, they are a monster on the boards.
Absolutely. Best in the nation, in fact.
Oh, is that right? I didn't realize they were #1. Okay, so that's going to be a huge factor in this game.
No doubt about it. Rebounding can make or break you, especially in a close matchup.
All right, so let's set the stage here. We're looking at Illinois favored by 4.5 points.
That's right, with a money line of -192. So for those who might be new to this, that means you'd need to bet $192 to win $100 if Illinois takes the win.
Got it. And Purdue.
They're sitting at +160, so a $100 bet there could get you $160 if they pull off the upset.
So already leaning towards Illinois just based on those odds alone.
Odds makers are giving Illinois a 67.2% chance of winning outright versus Purdue at 37%. But hold on, one of our sources actually thinks Purdue might cover the spread. Meaning they believe Purdue will either win the game straight up or lose by fewer than 4.5 points. So even though they're not favored to win outright, they could still be a good bet against the spread.
Okay, now that's interesting. So how do we unpack all of this?
Well, let's start by looking at what each team brings to the table. Illinois, they've got a nationally ranked offense. They're averaging 83.6 points a game.
Yeah, and remember, they're playing at home for this one.
Exactly. And at home, they're even stronger offensively, putting up over 84 points per game at State Farm Center.
Plus, they've got 7 quad 1 wins, the most in the Big Ten. So clearly they can handle tough competition.
No question about it. They've proven themselves against some of the best in the country. And then there's that rebounding advantage we talked about. 40 boards a game on average, that's insane.
That's almost 10 more than their opponents, right?
Yeah, exactly. More possessions for Illinois, fewer second chance opportunities for Purdue. It puts huge pressure on Purdue to make those first shots count.
Right, because if they miss and Illinois gets the rebound, that could be a quick 2 points going the other way.
You got it. And don't forget about Illinois' young talent. Did you see Will Riley's game the other night?
Oh, yeah. 27 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, and no turnovers. That kid's the real deal.
He is. A performance like that in this game could definitely swing things in Illinois' favor.
So, lots to like about Illinois, but Purdue isn't coming in empty-handed. They've got efficiency on their side, shooting almost 49% from the field.
Very true. And let's not forget about Braden Smith. He's on track for a 1,000-point, 500 assists, 400 rebound season. That's pretty rare air, especially for a player his age.
Yeah, how do you even game plan for a guy like that? He does it all.
Well, Illinois is going to have to try to disrupt his rhythm somehow. If they can force him into tough shots, create some turnovers, that would be huge.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's not just Smith they have to worry about. Purdue's also got Trey Kaufman-Renn. He's been super consistent this season, averaging 19.4 points a game.
And he can rebound, too, 6.1 boards per game. So Illinois can't afford to just focus on shutting down Smith. They need to play tough defense across the board.
Which is where, I guess, that rebounding dominance comes into play again, right?
Right.
If they can limit those second chance points for Purdue, it'll make things a lot harder.
Absolutely. It could force Purdue to rely more on their outside shooting, which, while good, isn't their bread and butter.
Yeah, they're 9th in the country, hitting almost 39% of their three-pointers. But I don't think they want to live and die by the three in this game.
I agree. They're at their best when they have a balanced attack, and that means getting to the rim and drawing fouls.
Which might be tough against Illinois' size and athleticism inside.
Definitely something to keep an eye on.
For sure. And one more thing to consider. These two teams have already faced off twice this season, and Purdue won both of those games.
Right, that's a factor we can't ignore. But it's worth noting that one of those games was pretty close, 77-71.
And in the second matchup, Purdue was favored by 10 points, but only won by 5. So Illinois has clearly been figuring out how to compete with them.
Yeah, those earlier losses might have been valuable learning experiences for Illinois. They've had time to adjust their game plan and make some tweaks.
Plus, this time, they've got that home court advantage.
Good point. The crowd at State Farm Center can get pretty loud and rowdy.
It could definitely give Illinois an extra boost. But we've got this young, high-scoring Illinois team with a big rebounding edge.
Going up against a Purdue team that's already beaten them twice but relies more on efficient scoring and a star player who, let's be honest, Illinois might be starting to figure out.
It's a fascinating matchup. You've got experience versus potential, contrasting styles of play, and that always intriguing question. Will home court advantage play a role?
No doubt about it. This one could go down to the wire. So, do those two earlier wins for Purdue change your mind about Illinois' chances of winning outright?
Not really, no. I mean, especially when you look at those expert predictions, both Bleacher Nation and Fox Sports, they're saying the final score is going to be Illinois 78, Purdue 75.
That's right. And here's the crazy thing. Bleacher Nation, they think Purdue will cover the spread,
Okay.
but Fox Sports thinks Illinois will beat the spread. It's wild, like it's not often you see two sources predict the same exact score, but have totally opposite opinions on the spread.
Yeah, that's super weird. I guess it just shows how evenly matched these two teams really are. But for our listener who's thinking about that Illinois money line,
Yeah,
I just keep coming back to those rebounds.
it's the big question, right?
Yeah.
Can Purdue really win this thing if they can't control the boards?
Exactly.
If Illinois just dominates the glass the way they've been doing all season, it's going to be super tough for Purdue to keep up, even with a guy like Braden Smith, who can make plays happen. Remember, Purdue only won by 5 last time.
Right.
So if Illinois cleans up on the boards even more this time around,
It could be a complete
Yeah.
different story. And you know what else is interesting to me? This game, it's like a clash of styles, you know?
what do you mean?
Well, you've got Purdue with all these veteran players, and then you've got Illinois with this young, up-and-coming talent.
Oh, I see what you mean. It's experience versus potential.
Exactly. Purdue has that know-how and that proven track record. But Illinois, they've got this youthful energy, like this hunger to prove themselves, you know?
I get it.
And sometimes I think that fearlessness, that can be more valuable than experience.
Yeah.
Especially in a pressure-packed game like this. Remember, Illinois, they've played in a ton of close games this season.
Yeah, all those quad 1 wins, they're not afraid of a challenge.
No, not at all. So they're not going to be intimidated by Purdue. Not one bit.
I think you're right. They've definitely shown they can handle adversity, and that could give them a real edge in a tight game. But we should probably talk about those earlier Purdue wins for a second.
Yeah.
In both of those games, Purdue's strategy was basically to slow the game down, force Illinois into playing a half-court game.
Huh. And that worked both times.
Yeah, it did. So maybe that's the key for Purdue to win again.
Maybe. But I also think Illinois has had time to adjust, you know? I mean, if they can break Purdue's press and push the pace, then they can use their athleticism to their advantage.
Yeah, you're right. They can create those easier scoring opportunities if they get out in transition. It's all about dictating the tempo.
Absolutely. So, okay, if we're keeping track, it sounds like Illinois needs to control the boards, push the pace, and find a way to contain Braden Smith. That's a lot.
It is a tall order, no question, but is there anything else our listeners should be thinking about before placing that bet?
Well, you always have to factor in that intangible thing, right?
What's that?
Home court advantage. Illinois has been tough to beat at State Farm Center all season long. And that crowd energy, I mean, that can make a real difference, especially in a close game.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It can be like having an extra player on the court sometimes. And remember, Illinois is averaging over 84 points at home this season.
Right. If they can get their offense going in front of that crowd,
Yeah,
I think Purdue's going to have a really hard time keeping up.
I think so too. So when you consider all of that, their rebounding advantage, the home court advantage, the fact that Illinois might actually be starting to exploit Purdue's weaknesses, and even those expert predictions that are calling for an Illinois win.
Starting to sound pretty good for Illinois.
Yeah. I mean, it all kind of paints a compelling picture for betting on Illinois to win outright, don't you think?
Are you saying you think Illinois is a good bet on the money line?
Well, I never tell anyone what to bet on. But I will say, if I were looking at all of this evidence, if I were in your shoes,
Oh,
I'd say Illinois is a strong contender. I think the potential reward outweighs the risk in this one. But ultimately, it's up to you to decide. What do you think? Does Illinois have what it takes to pull off the win?
I think they do, yeah. They've got the talent, they've got the momentum, and they're at home. Plus, I think Purdue's due for a letdown after 2 close wins against Illinois already. I think Illinois is going to be hungry for revenge.
Well, there you have it. We've laid out all the facts, we've analyzed the matchups, and I think we've explored all the angles here. So now it's up to you to decide if you want to take that chance and ride with Illinois on that money line. But before you make that decision, before you lock in that bet, I want to leave you with something to think about.
Okay, I like it. Hit me.
What if, instead of just focusing on this one game, like we zoom out a little bit, what if we look at the bigger picture of team building in college basketball?
Okay, yeah, I'm listening.
Because you've got Purdue, they went with experience this season, right? A lot of veteran players. But then you have Illinois, and they're all about developing that young talent.
There's two different approaches, two different philosophies.
Exactly. And I think it's a really fascinating question. Which one is more sustainable in the long run?
Yeah. Like, is it better to build a team around seasoned veterans, try to win now, or is it smarter to cultivate a program that's constantly developing these young stars?
Right. It's like a constant pipeline of talent.
And that's kind of what you're seeing play out on Friday, right? When Illinois and Purdue face off.
It's more than just a game. It's like a clash of philosophies.
And who knows, maybe the outcome of this game will actually give us some insight into which approach really is better.
Interesting thought.
So, yeah, food for thought.
Yeah.
We always want to make sure we're giving you something to chew on.
More than just the game itself.
Exactly. And hopefully this deep dive has given you a new perspective on this matchup, but also, on college basketball as a whole.
It's always good to look beyond the box score.
Because at the end of the day, sports, they're more than just wins and losses, right?
They're about strategy. They're about dedication. They're about the human spirit. It's about those moments that make sports so captivating.
Absolutely. So enjoy the game on Friday.
Have the best team win.
And hey, maybe this will even inspire you to do your own deep dive.
Yeah, maybe a statistical deep dive.
Right. Like, does investing in young talent actually lead to better results over time? You could crunch the numbers, figure it out.
That's a great idea.
Or maybe you'll start to think more about the role of luck in sports.
Oh, yeah.
Because luck, it's this, unpredictable X factor. It can throw off even the best predictions.
You can do all the analysis in the world, and sometimes it just comes down to a lucky bounce.
Exactly. But no matter what you take away from this, hopefully we've given you all the information you need to make an informed decision about that Illinois money line.
At the end of the day, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
We just want to equip you with the knowledge to make the best possible bet.
But even more importantly, we hope we've inspired you to look at this game and maybe even the whole world of college basketball in a new way. It's more than just points on a scoreboard.
It's about the stories behind the players, the coaches, the teams.
It's about strategy, talent development, and those moments of brilliance that, just make sport so amazing to watch.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So when you watch Illinois and Purdue go head-to-head on Friday, remember, you're not just watching a game. You're watching a story unfold in real time. You're watching a battle of philosophies.
Enjoy the game, everyone.